Stop everything you are doing right now, because what I am about to reveal will completely blow your mind about what is happening across America this very moment. 106 people are dead. 300 million Americans were under weather alerts at the same time. And here is what will absolutely shock you. We are talking about a storm so massive, it carved a 2,000-mile path of destruction from Mexico to Canada, making it the costliest winter disaster in years, with damages hitting $115 billion. But here is the kicker that even veteran meteorologists are calling unprecedented. Right now, as I am speaking to you, another bomb cyclone is forming off the East Coast, and over 20 million people are already under winter storm watches for this weekend. The National Weather Service just issued this warning. Major weekend East Coast winter storm with a rapidly deepening low-pressure system and with high winds, waves, and heavy snow impacting the seaboard. If you want to stay ahead of these life-threatening weather patterns that are about to hit again, smash that like button right now. Your engagement literally helps us reach people who desperately need this critical weather information to stay safe. Let me paint you a picture of what just happened during Winter Storm Fern. This was not just another winter storm. Former NOAA Chief Scientist Ryan Mao said the entire lower 48 states recorded their coldest average low temperature, -9.8 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the coldest since January 2014. We are talking about 230 million people experiencing temperatures of 20 degrees or lower, with 150 million subjected to snow and ice accumulation. The human cost of Winter Storm Fern was absolutely staggering. There were 106 confirmed deaths across multiple states. 3 brothers, ages 6, 8, and 9, fell through ice in Bonham, Texas. A 19-year-old college student was found dead from hypothermia in Ann Arbor, Michigan. 8 people were discovered outdoors during the freezing weekend in New York City. 6 people were killed when a plane crashed at Bangor International Airport in weather-related conditions. These are not just statistics. These are real people whose lives were cut short by the most devastating winter weather event in decades. What's coming this weekend could be even worse. But wait. There is more that is going to absolutely stun you about the records that were shattered. Boston. Logan International Airport recorded 23.2 inches, the 8th highest total in the airport's history. Toronto Pearson International Airport received 46 centimeters, the largest single-day snowfall since records began in 1937. Columbus, Ohio, set a new daily snowfall record with 11.9 inches, obliterating the previous record of 4.7 inches from 1988. Here's what makes this even more incredible. Flint, Michigan hit -24 degrees, just 1 degree above the all-time record. Grand Rapids, Michigan recorded -19 degrees, the coldest since 1994. Rhinelander, Wisconsin plunged to -36 degrees, the coldest since 1996. Knight, Iron County, Wisconsin dropped to -42 degrees, the coldest in Wisconsin since 2019. Drop your location in the comments right now and tell me how the weather is where you are, because I want to show you exactly how this next storm is going to affect your specific area. If this breakdown is helping you understand the true scale of what we are dealing with, subscribe immediately and ring that notification bell. When dangerous weather like this develops, you need every single update to make decisions that could literally save your life. Wind chill values reached life-threatening levels that meteorologists say have not been seen in decades. Minnesota and North Dakota experienced wind chills of -50 degrees or lower. Eastern Iowa dropped below -40 degrees. The Western Carolinas recorded -20 degrees at higher elevations. We are talking about temperatures that can cause frostbite in minutes. Now, here's where this story gets even more unbelievable. The aviation industry experienced its worst disruption since COVID-19. On January 25th, over 11,600 flights were canceled, the highest single-day total since March 30th, 2020. The weekend total exceeded 20,000 cancellations. American Airlines described the event as the most disruptive storm in the airline's 100-year history, canceling more than 9,000 flights total. Company spokesperson Ethan Clapp explained that 5 of their 9 hub airports were significantly impacted, and conditions changed 23 times during one day at Dallas-Fort Worth alone. Individual airport statistics paint a picture of complete paralysis. Boston Logan had 61% of flights canceled. JFK International had over 40% canceled. LaGuardia Airport closed at 1 p.m. on January 25th, with 90% of Sunday flights canceled. Reagan National Airport canceled 99% of Sunday flights. Share this video with everyone you know if you want them to understand what's really happening with these extreme weather patterns. This detailed analysis could help them prepare for the dangerous conditions that are coming this weekend. Here's a question I want you to answer in the comments. Are you prepared for power outages and extreme cold like this? Or are you completely caught off guard by how severe these weather patterns have become? Let me know your honest thoughts about what you're doing to stay safe. At peak impact on January 25th, over 1 million customers lost power, primarily in Texas, Louisiana, the Mississippi Delta, and the southern Ohio River Basin. By January 27th, more than 500,000 customers remained without power, concentrated in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Louisiana. Nashville Electric Service reported the highest number of outages in the utility's history, approximately 230,000 to 250,000 customers at peak. The utility dispatched more than 740 workers for restoration. Middle Tennessee Electric described crews fighting tree after tree, with lines being knocked out again as soon as repairs were completed. The energy market response was dramatic. Natural gas futures surged above $6 per million British thermal units for the first time since December 2022, representing a 68% year-to-date increase. Prices peaked at $6.78 per million British thermal units on January 27th, a 28% single-day spike. Regional natural gas hubs temporarily exceeded $100 per million British thermal units. PJM Interconnection, serving 67 million people across the East and Mid-Atlantic, saw wholesale electricity prices briefly surge above $3,000 per megawatt-hour, up from under $200 per megawatt-hour earlier. The Department of Energy issued emergency orders to prevent blackouts. Here's a question I want you to answer in the comments. Are you prepared for power outages and extreme cold like this? Or are you completely caught off guard by how severe these weather patterns have become? Let me know your honest thoughts about what you are doing to stay safe. Texas's grid, which catastrophically failed during Winter Storm Uri in February 2021, performed markedly better this time. ERCOT maintained more than 11,000 megawatts of operating reserves and avoided issuing energy emergency alerts or conservation calls. Battery storage, which barely existed during Uri, provided 9.5% of power during peak demand, equivalent to 1.75 million homes. Governor Greg Abbott declared the grid has held once again and works absolutely flawlessly because of everything they have done over the last 5 years. However, Virginia Palacios of Commission Shift cautioned that the cold snap has been far less severe than Winter Storm Uri, making it difficult to assess whether post-2021 weatherization measures are truly working. AccuWeather Weather estimates preliminary damage and economic losses at $105 billion to $115 billion, which would make Winter Storm Fern the costliest severe weather event since the Los Angeles wildfires in early 2025. Adam Smith, senior climate impact scientist at Climate Central and former manager of NOAA's billion-dollar disaster list, confirmed this storm will easily cost multiple billions of dollars, making it the country's first billion-dollar weather disaster of 2026. Bank of America economists estimated Winter Storm Fern could shave 0.5 to 1.5 percentage points off economic growth in the first quarter of 2026, reflecting slower consumer spending and weather-related business disruptions. Jacob Fuchs, research economist at Colorado State University's Cooperative Institute for Research in the Atmosphere, explained that events like this storm highlight just how interconnected our economy is with weather conditions. When major transportation hubs shut down or power grids fail, the cascading effects ripple through supply chains and business operations across multiple sectors simultaneously. Supply chain disruptions spread rapidly. UPS suspended Monday delivery to over 3,000 zip codes in Texas, Ohio, Oklahoma, Kentucky, and Indiana. FedEx issued a national service disruption notice and deployed contingency plans at its Memphis and Indianapolis hubs. The U.S. Postal Service suspended its Priority Mail Express guarantee and halted live cargo shipments. The federal and state response matched the storm's historic scale. 24 governors issued state emergency declarations. President Trump approved 12 federal emergency disaster declarations, described by FEMA as a historic amount in record time, covering Arkansas, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia. More than 5,400 National Guard members were activated across 15 states and Washington, D.C. Georgia mobilized 500 guardsmen. Maryland activated approximately 160 personnel with specialized vehicles. Tennessee established a 24-hour joint operations center. But here is what is going to absolutely blow your mind about what is happening right now. Even as recovery continues, the National Weather Service is tracking another major storm system expected to undergo bomb genesis, with rapid intensification off the Carolinas early Saturday, February 1st. The National Weather Service Weather Prediction Center issued this warning on January 29th. They warned of a major weekend East Coast winter storm with a rapidly deepening low and high wind, wave, and heavy snow impacts up the seaboard, especially anomalous for the coastal Carolinas. Over 20 million people are already under winter storm watches, including Charlotte, Raleigh-Durham, Norfolk, and Atlanta. Forecasters expect central and eastern North Carolina to see heavy snow with punishing winds, 6 inches or more possible. Southern Virginia could experience blizzard conditions, with 6 inches or more expected. Coastal southeast Virginia and northeastern North Carolina may see wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, with blizzard conditions Saturday night. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration warns that wind gusts near hurricane force will coincide with astronomical high tides, producing moderate to locally significant coastal flooding. A full moon Sunday increases tidal flooding risk, with beach erosion and high surf expected along the Atlantic coast. If you are in the path of this next storm, like this video immediately and share it with your family and friends. This kind of rapid weather development can catch people completely off guard, and the information I am giving you could be the difference between safety and disaster. The Climate Prediction Center projects a moderate risk of much below normal temperatures for the Northeast, Eastern Great Lakes, and Central Appalachians from February 8th to February 12th. Wind chills below 0 degrees may extend as far south as Virginia and Kentucky. Climate scientist Jennifer Francis of the Woodwell Climate Research Center notes that studies suggest these aberrations in the polar vortex are happening more often in a warming world, which favors more frequent winter extremes. We are seeing atmospheric patterns that meteorologists describe as once-in-a-generation events happening multiple times per year. AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg warns that their long-range forecast for February calls for below-average temperatures across much of the eastern two-thirds of the nation, with the biggest departures from normal in the Midwest. The worst 10 days of winter in 40 years may be followed by the worst February in a generation. Here is what separates this from amateur weather reporting. Understanding when atmospheric conditions become too complex for simple predictions is essential. The polar vortex displacement that created Fern sent Arctic air plunging deep into North America from an unusually low latitude off the coast of Baja California. NOAA deployed a Gulfstream 4 SP research aircraft and hurricane hunters to investigate its structure, a rare measure typically reserved for tropical storms. Do not miss the critical updates about this bomb cyclone that is forming right now. When it hits this weekend, you will need every piece of information to stay safe and make informed decisions that could save your life. This winter storm just became a massive threat to millions of Americans, and what I am about to show you will change everything you thought you knew about winter weather emergencies. 119 people are now confirmed dead from Winter Storm Fern. 300 million Americans were under weather alerts at the same time. But here is what will absolutely stun you. We are not done. Right now, Winter Storm Gianna is exploding into a bomb cyclone off the southeast coast, and meteorologists are warning this could be the most dangerous back-to-back winter weather pattern in 40 years. But here is the kicker that is making even veteran forecasters panic. This new bomb cyclone is forming at an unusually low latitude off the southeast coast. Dr. Ryan Torn at the University at Albany confirmed that bomb cyclones off New York or Boston are normal. This one developing right off the southeast coast is extremely rare and extremely dangerous. We are talking about a storm system behaving in ways meteorologists have not seen in decades. If you want critical updates about these life-threatening weather patterns that could save your life, smash that like button right now. Your engagement helps us reach people who desperately need this information to make survival decisions. Let me show you exactly why this situation has become so much more dangerous in the last 24 hours. Winter storm. Gianna is undergoing rapid intensification in a location that scientists are calling unprecedented. The National Weather Service just issued blizzard warnings for the Outer Banks and southeastern Virginia, the first such warnings for these regions in over a decade. When the government issues blizzard warnings for areas that have not seen them in 10 years, you know we are dealing with something extraordinary. Here is what is absolutely mind-blowing about the forecast numbers spanning multiple states. Eastern North Carolina could see their largest snowfall since 1989. Columbia, South Carolina, is potentially getting 10+ inches of snow. But here is what is even more shocking. Florida is experiencing its coldest temperatures in over a decade. Orlando is forecast to drop to 24 degrees Saturday night, with freeze warnings extending as far south as Central Florida. Dallas and the Texas region are facing extreme cold warnings, with wind chills potentially reaching -20 degrees. This is the same area that just lost 13 people during Winter Storm Fern, including 3 young brothers who fell through the ice. Texas power grid officials are closely monitoring demand as millions crank up heating systems during the prolonged freeze. New Jersey has declared a state of emergency ahead of the weekend storm. The Garden State has not seen a winter storm of this magnitude in nearly a decade, with officials warning residents this is not typical for the region. Boston and Massachusetts are expecting 12 to 18 inches of snow, with the potential for 24 inches in jackpot zones along the coastal boundary. This could be the biggest snowstorm since February 2021. Georgia is under ice storm warnings, with Metro Atlanta expecting 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice. Areas northeast of the city along Interstate 85 could see 1/2 to a full inch of ice accumulation. North Georgia mountains could receive up to 4 inches of snow and sleet, with wind chills reaching -20 degrees. Drop your location in the comments right now and tell me what the weather conditions are like where you are, because I want to show you exactly how this bomb cyclone will specifically impact your area and what you need to do to stay safe. Pennsylvania is still recovering from 3 snow shoveling deaths during Winter Storm Fern, with victims aged 60 to 84. The state is now bracing for another significant snow event, with Philadelphia expecting 8 to 18 inches depending on exact location. The Lehigh Valley could see 13 to 18 inches on the high end. Maryland and Baltimore are facing 6 to 10 inches along the Interstate 95 corridor, but areas northwest of Baltimore could see 12 or more inches. Western Maryland might receive nearly 2 feet of snow. This would be the first significant 6-inch or greater snow event for the region since 2016. Virginia's coastal areas are under blizzard warnings. Norfolk is expecting 7 to 12 inches of snow, combined with hurricane-force winds. The combination of heavy snow and 70 miles per hour wind gusts will create near-zero visibility and extremely dangerous travel conditions. Southeastern Virginia could experience 2 to 4 feet of coastal flooding during peak storm conditions. But wait, there's more that is going to absolutely shock you about what we just learned from Winter Storm Fern. The death toll has risen to 119 confirmed fatalities, making this the deadliest winter weather event in years. Mississippi alone lost 14 people. Texas confirmed 13 deaths, including 3 brothers, ages 6, 8, and 9, who drowned after falling through ice. New York City found 10 people dead outdoors during the extreme cold. Louisiana reported 9 deaths from hypothermia and carbon monoxide poisoning. These are not just statistics. These are real people whose lives were cut short by the exact same type of winter weather pattern that is developing right now off the coast. A 19-year-old college student in Michigan went missing without a coat and was found dead. A Kansas teacher was discovered covered in snow after leaving without proper clothing. In Massachusetts, a 51-year-old woman was killed by a snowplow at a transit station. Now, here is what makes this weekend's storm even more terrifying. Hurricane-force winds are forecast to hit the southeast coast. We are talking about wind gusts approaching 70 miles per hour along parts of the North Carolina and Virginia shoreline by Saturday night. CNN meteorologist Brianna Waxman warned that where these winds coincide with heavy snow, blizzard conditions are possible, with near-zero visibility and extremely dangerous travel. Share this video immediately with everyone you know, because this rapid storm development can catch people completely off guard. The information I am giving you right now could be the difference between safety and disaster for your friends and family. The economic destruction from Winter Storm Fern alone has reached catastrophic levels. AccuWeather estimates $105 billion to $115 billion in total damage and economic losses. Climate scientist Adam Smith confirmed this will easily be the first billion-dollar weather disaster of 2026, and we're not even done with January. Bank of America economists estimate Winter Storm Fern could shave 0.5 to 1.5 percentage points off first-quarter economic growth. Here is what is absolutely fascinating about the infrastructure collapse we witnessed. The aviation system effectively collapsed, with over 20,000 flight cancellations from January 23rd to January 26th. American Airlines called it the most disruptive storm in their 100-year history. Over 1 million customers lost power at peak, and as of now, 51,000 customers in Louisiana still do not have electricity from last week's storm. Supply chains are still severely disrupted. UPS suspended delivery to over 3,000 zip codes. FedEx activated national contingency plans. The U.S. Postal Service suspended priority mail express guarantees entirely. Nashville experienced its largest outage in history, with 230,000 customers losing power. Tennessee Valley Authority reported 17 local power delivery points knocked completely offline. But here is where this story takes a turn that will make your jaw drop. Even as communities are still recovering from Fern, another major weather system is rapidly intensifying. The National Weather Service issued this warning: a major weekend East Coast winter storm with rapidly deepening low pressure and high wind, wave, and heavy snow impacts along the seaboard, especially anomalous for the coastal Carolinas. Over 33 million people are already under winter storm watches and warnings for this weekend. The storm is expected to undergo bombogenesis, which means the pressure will drop at least 24 millibars in 24 hours. When storms intensify that rapidly, they create conditions that can overwhelm emergency response systems and catch people completely unprepared. Bombogenesis. At this latitude is extremely concerning. If you are anywhere in the path of this developing storm, like this video right now and subscribe with notifications on. When dangerous weather develops this rapidly, you need every single update to make informed decisions that could literally save your life. Here is what will absolutely blow your mind about the records that were shattered during Winter Storm Fern. Toronto broke an 82-year-old snowfall record with 46 centimeters, the largest single-day snowfall since 1937. Columbus, Ohio set a new daily record with 11.9 inches, obliterating the previous record of 4.7 inches from 1988. Little Rock, Arkansas shattered a record that had stood since 1899. We are talking about 127-year-old records being completely destroyed. Temperature records fell alongside snowfall records. Flint, Michigan hit negative 24 degrees, just 1 degree above their all-time record. Grand Rapids, Michigan recorded negative 19 degrees, the coldest since 1994. Wind chills reached life-threatening levels, with Minnesota and North Dakota experiencing negative 50 degrees or lower. Eastern Iowa dropped below negative 40 degrees. This is extreme cold. The human cost extends far beyond the death toll. Hundreds of thousands of people are still without heat and electricity in below-freezing temperatures. Emergency warming centers are overwhelmed. Hospitals are reporting increased admissions for hypothermia and carbon monoxide poisoning. Emergency management officials are warning that the combination of damaged infrastructure from the first storm and incoming severe weather could create a compounding disaster. Now here is what is absolutely terrifying about what meteorologists are discovering. A confirmed stratospheric warming event has disrupted the polar vortex, and this is not temporary. Severe Weather Europe reports that a major polar vortex split is predicted around mid-February, with stratospheric temperatures forecast to peak 50 degrees Celsius above normal. This could be the biggest polar vortex disruption yet this winter. Polar vortex disruption at this scale would be historic. What this means is that the dangerous cold pattern we are experiencing is locked in through at least mid-February. Dr. Esther Mullins from the University of Florida explained that the air has already been primed, and now we are getting secondary pushes of cold air. Additional Arctic outbreaks are predicted to continue into early February at minimum. 24 states have declared emergencies. Federal emergency declarations now cover 12 states. FEMA characterized this as one of the most expansive and severe winter weather emergencies in recent history. Over 900 federal staff have been deployed with resources including 300 generators, 7 million meals, 3 million liters of water, and 650,000 blankets prepositioned. The National Guard has been activated in 15 states with over 5,400 personnel deployed. Georgia mobilized 500 guardsmen. Maryland activated 160 personnel with specialized vehicles. 28 urban search and rescue teams are on standby across 7 FEMA regions. Here is what separates this from typical weather reporting. The polar vortex displacement that created Winter Storm Fern sent Arctic air plunging into North America from an unusually low latitude off the coast of Baja California. NOAA deployed a Gulfstream 4 research aircraft and hurricane hunters to investigate the structure, a rare measure typically reserved for tropical storms. When they send hurricane hunters into winter weather systems, you know we are dealing with something exceptional. But here is what will absolutely shock you about the immediate forecast. Winter Storm Gianna will peak during a full moon weekend, amplifying coastal flooding risks. The National Weather Service warns of 2 to 4 feet of water inundation from the South Carolina coast through the Outer Banks to Virginia and Maryland. Astronomical high tides combined with hurricane-force winds could produce moderate to locally significant coastal flooding. The timing could not be worse. Peak snowfall intensity is forecast for Saturday morning through early afternoon, when most people would normally be running errands or traveling. Blizzard conditions are expected Saturday night along the North Carolina and Virginia coast, with winds gusting to 70 miles per hour. Zero visibility and extremely dangerous travel conditions will make rescue operations nearly impossible. Emergency management officials are already positioning resources. Duke Energy has deployed 18,000 workers from 27 states and Canada. They warn that ice makes falling branches 30 times heavier, and with half an inch to 1 inch of ice forecast across parts of the Carolinas, catastrophic infrastructure damage is possible. Drop your exact location in the comments one more time and tell me what your biggest concern is for this weekend's storm. I personally read every comment to help people in specific areas understand the dangerous conditions headed their way. Long-range forecasts show no relief in sight. The Climate Prediction Center projects a moderate risk of much below normal temperatures for the Northeast, Eastern Great Lakes, and Central Appalachians from February 8th to February 12th. Wind chills below 0 degrees may extend as far south as Virginia and Kentucky. AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg warns their long-range forecast for February calls for below-average temperatures across much of the eastern two-thirds of the nation. Climate scientist Jennifer Francis notes that studies suggest these polar vortex aberrations are happening more often, favoring more frequent winter extremes. We are seeing atmospheric patterns that were once considered once-in-a-generation events happening multiple times per year. The key takeaway for everyone watching this is critical. Patterns like this can change in hours. Continuous monitoring from reliable sources is not just helpful, it is essential for survival. What we witnessed with Winter Storm Fern and what is developing with Winter Storm Gianna demonstrates how quickly modern infrastructure can collapse when multiple extreme events unfold simultaneously across America. Another storm system is already being tracked from February 5th to February 7th. With the polar vortex split expected in mid-February, meteorologists warn the eastern United States remains stuck in a pattern of bitter cold and dangerous storms through at least the first half of February. The worst 10 days of winter in 40 years may be followed by the worst February in a generation. This winter emergency just escalated to catastrophic levels, and what I am about to show you will expose the terrifying reality of what is happening across America right now. We are not dealing with one storm anymore, folks. We are dealing with back-to-back monster systems that have killed 119 people, left nearly 200 million Americans under extreme weather alerts, and created what meteorologists are calling the worst winter disaster since records began. Winter Storm Gianna just exploded into a violent bomb cyclone off the southeast coast. This is happening while communities are still digging out from Winter Storm Fern. The polar vortex is about to completely collapse in February, locking the eastern United States into what could be the most brutal extended cold period in living memory. But here is the part that is making even veteran forecasters panic. The National Weather Service just confirmed that Winter Storm Gianna underwent the most explosive intensification they have measured in years. Central pressure plummeted 40 millibars in 24 hours, nearly double the threshold for bomb cyclone classification. When storms intensify this violently, they create conditions that can overwhelm emergency response systems and trap people with zero warning. If you want life-saving updates about these rapidly developing threats that could protect you and your family from deadly conditions, hit the like button and share this information right now. Every engagement helps us reach people who need this critical survival information before it is too late. Let me paint you a picture of the devastation that's already unfolding. The Carolinas are getting slammed with the first blizzard warnings in over 20 years. We are talking about 70 miles per hour wind gusts, creating whiteout conditions, with snow falling at 2 inches per hour. Norfolk, Virginia is facing 7 to 12 inches of snow, combined with hurricane-force winds and moderate coastal flooding. This is the kind of storm that shuts down entire regions for days. Eastern North Carolina could see their largest snowfall since 1989. Columbia, South Carolina, is potentially getting 10 or more inches, amounts that would cripple a region not equipped for heavy snow. The National Weather Service is using phrases such as explosively deepening coastal cyclone and anomalous for the coastal Carolinas. When government meteorologists start using words like anomalous, you know we are dealing with something extraordinary. Drop your location in the comments right now and tell me how the weather is affecting your area, because I want to show you exactly what is coming for your specific region and what you need to do to stay alive through this crisis. Here is what is absolutely heartbreaking about the human cost we have already witnessed. The confirmed death toll from Winter Storm Fern has reached 119 people, and these stories will break your heart. 3 young brothers in Texas, ages 6, 8, and 9, drowned after falling through ice on a frozen pond. Their mother had to watch helplessly as all 3 boys struggled in the freezing water. She tried desperately to save them, but could not reach all 3. There were 3 children and only 1 mother. There were 13 deaths in Texas, including teenagers who were killed in sledding accidents when they struck trees. More than 10 people were found dead outdoors in New York City from exposure to the extreme cold. 3 elderly residents in Pennsylvania died while shoveling snow, with victims ranging in age from 60 to 84. 6 people were killed when a plane crashed during takeoff at an airport in Maine in blizzard conditions. 8 people died in Louisiana from hypothermia and from carbon monoxide poisoning when generators were used improperly while people tried to stay warm. But here's where this story takes a turn that will make your jaw drop. The power grid is collapsing across multiple states simultaneously. Over 1 million customers lost electricity at peak, and, get this, 45,000 people in Nashville still don't have power a full week later. Nashville Electric Service is calling this the worst outage in company history, worse than any tornado or derecho they have faced. Workers are pulling 14 to 16-hour shifts in brutal conditions, and they are describing it as a constant battle. As soon as they restore a power line, another tree weighted down with ice crashes into it, knocking it out again. The utility's chief operations officer said, "This is the worst ice storm Nashville has weathered since 1994, and the biggest electric outage in their history." Here is exactly why you need to share this video right now with everyone you care about. Send this to your parents, your siblings, your children, your neighbors, anyone you love who might be facing these life-threatening conditions. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and send it in your family group chats, because this information could literally save their lives. When power grids are failing for over a week and people are dying from hypothermia and carbon monoxide poisoning, getting accurate information to your loved ones before they get caught unprepared could be the difference between life and death. Do not let the people you care about become another statistic. Now let me break down what is happening state by state, because this crisis is affecting everyone differently. Florida just experienced its coldest weather since 2010, with freeze warnings extending as far south as central Florida. Snow flurries, which are extremely rare for Florida, were confirmed in Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Gainesville, the Tampa Bay area, and even near Orlando. The state's citrus industry, worth $7 billion, is facing potential crop damage that could impact food prices nationwide. Texas endured 58 consecutive hours below freezing, with wind chills reaching -4 degrees in Dallas. Despite the brutal conditions, the state's power grid held stable this time, a crucial difference from the catastrophic freeze in 2021. Operating reserves exceeded 11,000 megawatts, and no emergency alerts were issued. However, localized ice damage still caused 150,000 customer outages at peak. Georgia got hammered by ice accumulations, reaching over half an inch, knocking out power to more than 100,000 customers in the northern part of the state. The second state emergency declaration in 8 days shows how serious officials are taking the ongoing threat from Winter Storm Gianna. North Carolina is experiencing historic blizzard conditions, with 8 to 12 inches of snow or more, and the first blizzard warnings for eastern regions in over 2 decades. A 100-vehicle pileup trapped motorists on Interstate 85 near Charlotte, requiring the National Guard. The State Highway Patrol reported over 750 crashes by Saturday night alone. Virginia's coastal areas are dealing with a triple threat, with 7 to 12 inches of snow, wind gusts of 50 to 60 miles per hour, and moderate coastal flooding. Northern Virginia already received 6 to 7.5 inches from Storm Fern, and they are getting hit again with Storm Gianna. Subscribe immediately and ring that notification bell, because when dangerous weather develops this rapidly, you need every single update to make informed decisions that could literally save your life. Here's what's going to absolutely blow your mind about the flight chaos we're witnessing. More than 20,000 flights were canceled between January 23rd and January 26th, and Sunday alone saw 11,000 to 12,000 cancellations, the largest single-day cancellation event since the COVID pandemic. American Airlines canceled more than 10,000 flights, calling it the most disruptive storm in their 100-year history. The airline's losses are estimated at $150 million to $200 million. Charlotte Douglas Airport had more than 1,800 flights canceled. Atlanta Hartsfield. Jackson saw more than 1,000 cancellations. Newark had 40% of flights canceled. LaGuardia completely shut down during the height of Storm Fern. When major airports start closing entirely, you know the weather has reached catastrophic levels. But wait, there is more that is going to absolutely shock you about what meteorologists are predicting for February. A major stratospheric warming event is confirmed for mid-February, with forecasts showing a polar vortex split from February 7th to February 11th. Stratospheric temperatures are predicted to spike 50 degrees Celsius above normal, causing the polar vortex to completely collapse. Here is the question I want you to answer in the comments. Are you prepared for potentially weeks more of dangerous cold and multiple storm systems, or are you starting to realize how serious this winter pattern has become? Let me know your honest thoughts about facing what could be the most punishing winter stretch in decades. AccuWeather's Weather's lead long-range meteorologist is warning about a potential polar vortex disruption in early February that can give an extra boost to the cold in the eastern United States. That displacement may add more fury to storms and more punch to the cold that follows. We are looking at February temperatures 4 to 10 degrees below normal across the eastern half of the country, with the cold pattern potentially extending into early March. Extended forecasts show no relief in sight. From February 3rd to February 5th, continued extreme cold is expected, with a possible snow and ice system from Missouri to Virginia. From February 5th to February 6th, a clipper storm will bring snow to the upper Midwest and the Northeast. From February 8th to February 11th, the extreme cold outbreak is predicted to peak. From February 12th to February 15th, meteorologists are tracking a significant storm from Montana and Wyoming all the way to New Jersey and New England. The economic toll is approaching historic levels, with preliminary damage estimates ranging from $1 billion to over $100 billion. Oil production dropped by up to 2 million barrels per day at the peak, which was 15% of United States production. Agricultural losses are mounting across citrus crops in Florida, timber in Mississippi, sugarcane in Louisiana, and cattle operations throughout the plains. What separates this from typical weather reporting is that we are witnessing a pattern shift that meteorologists have not seen in decades. The back-to-back nature of these storms, with no recovery window between them, has stretched emergency resources, exhausted utility crews, and left vulnerable populations increasingly at risk. As forecasters warned, this represents the longest duration of cold in several decades for parts of the eastern United States. One more time, drop your exact location in the comments, and tell me what your biggest concern is about the extended winter pattern we are facing. I personally read comments to help people in specific areas understand the dangerous conditions headed their way. Do not miss the next critical update about the polar vortex collapse and additional storm systems being tracked for February, because the information I share could be the difference between being prepared and being caught completely off guard by the most dangerous winter weather pattern in living memory. The worst winter disaster in American history just claimed its 147th life, and what I am about to reveal will show how this supposedly manageable storm system spiraled completely out of control in ways that have left meteorologists and emergency officials stunned. We are not talking about one winter storm anymore, people. We are witnessing back-to-back monster systems that have shattered every prediction, killed more people than any winter event in decades, and created conditions so dangerous that over 5,000 National Guard troops are deployed across 14 states right now, trying to save lives. Winter Storm Gianna just underwent explosive bombogenesis, dropping 27 millibars in 24 hours while communities were still digging out from Winter Storm Fern. The death toll has skyrocketed from 30 people to 147 in just 5 days. Power companies are telling customers they will not have electricity restored for 2 full weeks. And here is what will absolutely shock you. Forecasters have confirmed that a polar vortex collapse is likely to hit in mid-February, which means this nightmare is just getting started. If you want to understand exactly how these conditions became seriously dangerous and what is coming next that could affect your family's safety, hit that like button right now. Your engagement helps us reach people who desperately need this life-saving information before they get caught completely unprepared. Let me break down exactly how this situation spiraled beyond anyone's control. Winter Storm Fern stretched nearly 2,000 miles from New Mexico to Maine, covering over half the continental United States with snow by January 26th. But instead of moving through and allowing recovery, Winter Storm Gianna formed immediately behind it and exploded into a bomb cyclone that meteorologists never saw coming at this level of intensity. The National Weather Service in Wilmington said some areas haven't seen this amount of accumulating snow in over 30 years. Faust, North Carolina, recorded 22.5 inches, the highest total on record. Charlotte got 11 inches, tying its 4th highest single-day total dating back to 1880. Newport, North Carolina saw 15 inches, the first foot of snow since December 1989. These aren't just big numbers, folks. These are historic totals that regions simply aren't equipped to handle. But here's where the story takes a turn that will make your blood run cold. The human cost has been absolutely devastating, and it's getting worse every single day. 3 young brothers in Texas, ages 6, 8, and 9, fell through ice on a frozen pond. Their mother Cheyenne watched helplessly as all 3 boys struggled in the freezing water. She tried desperately to save them, but there were 3 of them and only 1 of her. By the time she knew, her kids were already gone. Drop your location in the comments right now and tell me what the current conditions are like where you are. I want to show you exactly how this escalating pattern is going to affect your specific area and what you need to do to protect yourself and your family from what is coming next. Tennessee recorded 101 cases of carbon monoxide poisoning, the most Dr. Rebecca Bruccoleri at the Tennessee Poison Center had seen in her entire career. She said this was a record-setting event for her career. Vanderbilt Children's Hospital alone treated 48 children for carbon monoxide poisoning from families using generators improperly to heat their homes without power. 16 people died from cold exposure in New York City during 11 straight days of below-freezing temperatures, potentially the longest period of consecutive sub-32-degree weather in the city's entire history. Mississippi suffered 25 deaths in its worst winter storm since 1994. The mayor of Oxford said it really looks like a tornado has gone through town. Georgia saw White County lose power to 90% of residents, approximately 30,000 people in the hardest-hit region. North Carolina had over 400 traffic accidents during the first storm, then 132 additional accidents with 14 injuries as the second storm hit. Here's exactly why you need to share this video with everyone you care about right now. Send this to your parents, your children, your neighbors, anyone you love who might be facing dangerous winter conditions. Share it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and text it to your family group chats, because this information about compound storm systems and infrastructure failures could literally save their lives. When emergency officials say this represents one of the most expansive and severe winter weather emergencies in recent history, and people are dying from hypothermia and carbon monoxide poisoning. While power companies tell customers they won't have electricity for 2 weeks, getting accurate information to your loved ones before the next system hits could be the difference between life and death. Don't let the people you care about become another statistic in what meteorologists are calling the deadliest winter disaster in decades. The infrastructure collapse has been absolutely catastrophic. Nashville Electric Service experienced its worst outages in company history, with 230,000 customers losing power at the peak. Here's the part that will absolutely blow your mind. 24,000 customers are still without power more than 8 days later, and full restoration isn't expected until February 9th. That's 2 full weeks of no electricity in below-freezing temperatures. Louisiana's power company informed 51,000 customers that restoration wouldn't occur until at least January 31st, then extended that to February 5th after additional wind damage. Mississippi saw 180,000 peak outages, with tree damage described as sounding like gunshots as ice-weighted limbs snapped across the state. The mayor said you could hear the trees breaking, and it sounded like gunfire going off all night long. Over 1 million customers lost power at the peak across multiple states. 5 days later, we still have over 160,000 people sitting in the dark with no heat, while temperatures remain dangerously cold. Water systems are failing, with over 360 water main breaks in Maryland alone. Philadelphia reported 147 water main breaks just in January. Detroit had multiple streets flooding, and then freezing solid from burst pipes. Subscribe right now and ring that notification bell, because when dangerous weather systems are compounding this rapidly and infrastructure is failing at this scale, you need every update to make informed decisions that could save your life and your family's lives. Aviation suffered the worst disruption since the COVID pandemic. 15,000 flights were canceled over the storm weekend, 11,400 on January 25th alone, the highest single-day total since March 2020. Charlotte Douglas International Airport canceled 86% of Saturday departures. LaGuardia had 2,700 flights canceled, and the airport closed entirely on Sunday afternoon. When Gianna hit, another 3,700 flights were canceled. A Bombardier Challenger 650 crashed during takeoff in Bangor, Maine, killing 6 people in an aviation tragedy that added to the weather emergency. Transportation officials said they had never seen this level of systematic failure across the entire Eastern aviation network during a winter storm. But wait, there is something even more terrifying about what forecasters are predicting for the weeks ahead. Meteorologists have confirmed a stratospheric warming event for mid-February that will cause a polar vortex collapse. Bob Oravec, senior branch forecaster at the Weather Prediction Center, said the one ingredient you need if you want a big winter storm is cold air, and it looks like the cold air will continue into the middle of February. Ryan Mao described the outlook as an extreme cold outbreak expected February 8th through 11th, with no improvement following. Weather experts are warning about Groundhog Day conditions, where the dangerous cold just keeps repeating. The polar vortex displacement may add more fury to storms and more punch to the cold that follows in the United States. The economic toll is reaching historic levels, with preliminary damage estimates of $105 billion to $115 billion. That would make this potentially 4 times as costly as the devastating 2021 Texas ice storm. Florida's $7 billion citrus industry faces significant freeze damage, with temperatures dipping below the critical 28-degree threshold across growing regions. Cold, stunned iguanas fell from trees across South Florida, and this time the cold lasted long enough that many actually died. Let me ask you this question, and I want you to answer honestly in the comments. Are you prepared for what could be weeks more of dangerous cold with multiple additional storm systems being tracked? Or are you starting to realize how unprepared most people are for this type of compound winter emergency? Tell me your biggest concern about facing the most dangerous winter weather pattern that forecasters have seen in decades. The federal response has been unprecedented, with 24 state emergency declarations, 12 federal disaster declarations, 5,400 National Guard members activated across 14 states, and 28 urban search and rescue teams on standby. 7 million meals and 3 million liters of water have been staged, along with 600,000 blankets and 300 generators. When you see emergency response at this scale, you know we are dealing with something extraordinary. Here is what separates this from every other winter storm you have experienced. We are seeing compounding impacts, where back-to-back storms prevented any recovery between events. Communities still restoring power from Fern were hit by Gianna just 4 days later, extending outages to 2 full weeks for some residents. Forecast models completely missed Gianna's bomb cyclone intensification, delivering snowfall totals far beyond predictions, 22 inches where 12 inches were forecast. Cascading infrastructure failures are creating deadly situations. Power outages triggered carbon monoxide deaths, water main breaks, and heating failures that killed elderly and homeless populations. The geographic scope covered 2,000 miles and impacted over 200 million Americans simultaneously, overwhelming mutual aid networks that normally help with recovery. AccuWeather's damage estimate of $105 billion to $115 billion would make this the costliest weather disaster since the Southern California wildfires. Climate experts noted this will easily be the country's first multi-billion-dollar weather disaster of 2026, and we are only in February. The polar vortex collapse confirmed for mid-February means persistent below normal temperatures through early spring. NOAA shows high confidence for below-average temperatures in February. If forecasts hold, the combination of cold January and February could produce one of the coldest winters in years for much of the region. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani said on February 2nd that it was the city's 11th consecutive day of below-freezing weather, and that the city could be in the middle of the longest period of consecutive below 32 degrees weather in its entire history. When major cities are experiencing potentially record-breaking cold streaks, while emergency services are overwhelmed and infrastructure is failing, you know conditions have turned seriously dangerous. One final time, drop your location in the comments and tell me what you are most worried about as this winter pattern extends into February and potentially March. I personally respond to help people in specific regions understand the threats they are facing. Do not miss the next critical update about additional storm systems being tracked and the polar vortex collapse timeline, because the information I share could be the difference between being prepared and being caught off guard by what meteorologists are calling the most dangerous extended winter weather emergency in living memory.